Does anyone remember Kisaragi Station from over 10 years ago? It appeared in a thread on 2chan back in 2004 and eventually made its way to Reddit around 2010. Multiple people since then have claimed to encountered it, but the last account I think was from 2014. Sorry, I'm a bit disoriented in terms of time. It is now 2019, July 26th, 5:38. I don't know how much time I've got left, but I'm prepared for the worst. My name is Lucas Benning. I think I'm going to die very soon. In case I do, please share this story, because this is a warning. I work a lot of closing shifts at a restaurant downtown, and I always took the night train home. The one I was on last night wasn't the last train, I'm pretty sure. It was only around 23:10 when I got on, and quite a few people were still on it. I hadn't dozed off or noticed anything strange, since my stop wasn't far away. I did what I usually do: listen to music and stare out the window from the opposite side. When the train's moving, periodically a pillar or two outside would flash past the darkness, and I'd count them out of boredom, because my phone's always near dying at the end of the day, and I want to save it in case of emergencies. Maybe I should invest in a portable charger, but my life is a mess, and I digress. Sorry, it rhymed. I'm used to being tired and zoning out until I see the LED screen on the top of the door rolling out the name of my stop. But this time, it was taking way too long. And I didn't realize until a song started playing that was midway down my playlist. Yeah, I have a playlist for the train, and I'd start it from the top every time I got on. I never make it to midway, which must have been around an hour and 30 minutes. The first thing I did was check the time on my phone. It was 00:20, after midnight. I had been on this train for an hour and 10 minutes. I had lost count of how many times the train stopped before this, and it was the weirdest feeling. The fluorescent lights in the compartment were the same as they always were, and the train rushed silently and peacefully along the dark tunnel, alone. I was completely alone. I've never seen a train this empty, utterly devoid of life on either side of the doors leading to the other compartments. It almost felt like a negative space, and it is the opposite of comforting. Any other day, I would cheer for the uninterrupted personal space on public transport. But something about the night and the speed at which I was being moved along in the dark deeply disturbed me. After I came to this bizarre realization, I told myself to remain seated and just wait a couple of minutes to see where the next stop is. So, I waited, slightly paranoid and secretly desperate to see someone show up and tell me everything's okay, or ask if I need assistance. Because at this point, I do. The music in my headphones is also horribly out of touch with reality. And I waited for 10 minutes That's 3 whole songs. The train never approached any station. I haven't bothered to change the playlist because I was too distracted by the looming doom that I was going to be trapped in some kind of freak accident. Maybe I somehow forgot I had fallen asleep on the train. They must have missed me sitting in the corner when they closed down and checked the compartments. In a fit of panic and dread, as I realized that I must have been left behind, I jumped up from my seat and I started speed walking towards the head of the train. If the thing is being driven, someone else must still be on board. Or maybe today was the day that I finally learn where all the trains go after they close the underground. I speed walked through the next empty compartment, and the one after that, and the one after that. And I kept walking. All of them looked exactly the same. There's been very few moments like this in my life where I have to genuinely start questioning my sanity. Not as a joke or even half jokingly, but really, solidly doubting that I somehow was losing my mind. The last time this happened was when I slept for 17 hours straight and woke up on a non-specific afternoon, and my mum thought it'd be funny to change all our calendars and clocks to 10 days in the future. Being on that train, I felt so isolated and detached from reality that I started feeling actual, unadulterated terror. Not unlike that man from The Tunnel as he rode the descending train into hell. And then it slowed down. To my utter surprise, it wasn't taking me to hell. It gradually approached a dimly lit station and pulled to a stop. The doors opened to a sign directly across the platform with only some Japanese symbols on it. Up until now, Kisaragi Station had not been on my mind at all, which is only normal because no one immediately connects being in an underground train mishap to a random internet thread they read years and years ago. I had already jumped off the train before I was able to fully comprehend what the sign entailed, and I regret it. I would have much rather ride that cursed public transit into eternity, to be honest. But there I was, alone, exposed on the platform, unsure how to proceed, frozen, just staring at that ominous sign. Behind me, the train closed its doors and picked up speed as it rushed away from the station, abandoning me yet again. I couldn't stop thinking about the things I read on that 2chan thread years ago. About the woman and the bells ringing, and the man in the car who appeared out of nowhere and drove her away into oblivion. Did one of them involve a 7-Eleven? None of that happened to me, though. I stood there with my back exposed to the gaping darkness of the empty tunnel and its drafts until I started to feel very insecure. I turned around, and finally, I was able to move again. I might have cried at some point. I really don't remember much. I was panicking and barely keeping it together because I knew how this was going to end, and it terrified me. However, it didn't take long for me to find what looked like weak natural light coming from the top of the stairs ahead, marked by an exit sign. It looked like sunlight. I ran to it as soon as I understood that it was my only way out. Have you ever been down to your basement to turn off the lights, only to feel paranoid that there were monsters in the dark, and you had to sprint to safety afterwards as fast as humanly possible? I felt that way during the longest 10 seconds as I ran for my life. And then I was under the sun. It felt like midday, or possibly morning. It was hard to tell. My eyes had been accustomed to the darkness, and the daylight nearly blinded me. I was standing on the edge of some kind of fuzzy downtown plaza, where the underground exit was built, with the sun glaring down, and busy crowds walked past me from every direction. There was a tall LED screen nearby that displayed the time of day and the date, to remind regular office workers what time of day and what day it was, so they're not confused on their way to work. It said 2019, July 26th, and the time was fuzzy because I couldn't see very well. I raised my hand, slightly cupped on my forehead to block out the sun, and looked around me, squinting while trying to identify where I was and how to get home. There was a busy street in front of the plaza, and I was standing with my back towards it when I heard a scream coming from the pavement. I turned around to look, as many people around me were already doing. They were running over to the side of the street, looking up at the sky and pointing at something. Someone on the opposite side was shouting, and it sounded far away, muffled by the traffic. I couldn't make out what was being shouted. I looked with them. There it was, on the rooftop of a building across the street, near the ledge, and standing dangerously close to a fall, was a person. It was me. In different clothes, but clothes I do own. They should be in my closet. I pulled them off the laundry line 2 days ago. He had to be me. I've seen myself in other people's photos and I looked exactly like him. He was looking down at the small crowd that had gathered around the base of the building. Road traffic all backed up. People kept shouting incomprehensible words with the occasional police and ambulance. He was looking at my general direction, but I couldn't tell if he was looking directly at me. I couldn't stop anything from happening. My mind was totally blank. Blank because it can't be me. Because I should have escaped Kisaragi Station. And then he jumped. I fixated on his face as he fell. I couldn't help it. I saw the way he looked, and he was calm. He was calm when he jumped. I needed to type this to confirm what I saw. I don't think I've ever been so at peace in my entire life. It is July 26th. His face landed on the pavement and smashed open like a bloody mud mask with teeth. It is July 26th. My fingertips itched with a tingling, numbing sensation, and when I flexed them, they felt foreign to my limbs. I couldn't stay there. I didn't belong in that universe, with its dizzying, glaring sunlight and doppelganger suicide in the impossible train platform. So I turned away, and I went back down the stairs, returning to Kisaragi Station, returning to the darkness I had escaped from mere minutes ago. My thoughts a loud mess in my head. And Kisaragi Station was gone. I walked into the normal station near my apartment, where I was supposed to get off last night, and everything was normal. The morning rush traffic, the signs, the staff, the broadcast announcements of departures and arrivals, the bells warning people to watch their step as trains pulled in. I looked back at the stairs that I had just descended from, and all I saw were people and a help window. I took out my phone to look at the time. I've lost my headphones at some point, probably when I was running out of Kisaragi Station, which means they were left there forever. The time was 5:10. Exactly 6 hours had gone by. I somehow made my way back to my apartment. No public freakouts, no panic attacks. And I'm here now, and I'm safe, surrounded by familiar things. I charged my phone. I don't have work again until 1700. Maybe I should sleep. At the end of everything, I only have one thing to say. If you find yourself at Kisaragi Station, please look for a pair of abandoned, black and white, maybe a bit stepped on, skull candy headphones nearby. Those are mine. The sun has come up. I gotta go.